Bam. And we hit start all. Boom. Now we got that more mysterious effect going. There. Get my candle in the background. It's been interesting. Dealing with a lot of anger yesterday. I want my fucking wedding ring back. I really, 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 really want my fucking wedding ring back right now. So I've been dealing a lot with that shit. And I started praying. Yesterday, which was weird. I kind of shut myself down from that for a long time since we had a miscarriage, since we lost a kid, since we never had a family. I've been mad at God because I grew up in a deeply, deeply religious environment. And the one part that I always fucking hated were the stories about the dudes who spent their whole life trying to have kids and trying to have a family and never fucking did. And then someone shows up, like the Abraham or to Zechariah. And it's like, you'll be blessed with a child. And it's just fucking laughable because of how old and how long they've been trying. I hated those stories so goddamn much as a kid. And I let God know as a child that would be the thing. That would be the thing to drive me the fuck away from him. And sure enough, like we not only did we not have kids, we had a miscarriage. And I prayed like crazy for the 2 weeks that we were almost a whole family. My child would be safe. Spent a lot of time on my knees on linoleum praying as harder than I had ever had in my life. And we lost the kid. So I lost my faith. And yeah. So it's been tough coming back to that. I'm trying to focus on autonomous prayers. I believe that's what it's called. Autosonymous prayers, I think, is a more accurate term. Where I'm not sure what the hell is out there. I know there's something greater than me. I don't know what it is. We call it God for a lack of a better fucking term. But you could see that as like the positive end of chaos, I suppose. Is that we trust in a greater overarching order. So autosynonymous praying, assuming I'm not making that word up, is programming. That's the type of prayer that I'm engaging in, is the programming type where I ask for change in myself, not in the world, not in the environment, not in anything outside of my control, but the thing that seems to be out of my control, that should be in my control, which is me, myself, my brain. That is what I'm praying for guidance and help with. And that is programming. It's programming my brain for this is how we want to be. So, yeah. And it's helping. It's helping to take out a lot of the anger and the rage that I have. And try to give me a clear mind and wisdom. Wisdom is always the goal, but instead of like as a fantasy, as a someday thing, like let's see how I can apply it now. Alright. I don't know what I'm doing for chapter 9. You need to read what I've done so far. I was thinking about having a reading day. But 8 chapters. I think the last time I did a reading it was up to 6. Yeah. Why is my hand shaking today? I slept decent. Night before, I didn't sleep for shit. It was bad. It was really, really bad. I laid down and I popped up and I couldn't sleep because I kept trying to just become the man that my wife will still be married to, you know? Trying to become the man that she will stay with. And it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of consistent effort to make that happen. Getting this published, I think, would be a definite step in the right direction. Finding an actual job. Oh, and the car that I was going to get, fucking, she wandered. No, she wandered in. Okay, and I'll be back. I gotta poop again. I ate big last night in order to sleep good. I ate big, so round 3. You know, it just occurred to me as I was wiping my ass. When I gave up on God, I really gave up a big part of myself. I gave up a huge part of myself when I did that. Yeah. Wow. Huh. All right. I feel better having Faith back in my life. I used to have a bird named Faith. All right. Yeah, it's feeling like an empty space I've had inside me for a while is filled. It's weird. Praying a lot for forgiveness. Not for myself, but so I can forgive other people. Well, yeah, and for myself. I've been a piece of shit. So, chapters 7 and 8. Let's see how those are going. and see if I can get a few lines, a paragraph or something into 9. I don't need to do a lot, but I need to write some. Chapter 7. Various colored flames danced in circles through the air, driving back the dark from this pocket of paradise nestled deep in the lonely wilds. The scent of fine food was everywhere, rich and intoxicating. Those in attendance were the most beautiful and magical beings Jillian had ever seen, draped in silks, crowned in lights, and laughing as though sorrow had never touched them. Yet as she took in the royal festivities, something set her teeth on edge. A flicker of unease gripped in her chest. For all its beauty, the scene echoed too closely to the opulence she had once been captive to. Gilded and golden, yes, but a cage all the same. She wandered in, unnoticed, her burning fatigue replaced by a raw, speechless awe. Why do I have to rhyme like that? It's got to be some, weird thing with my brain. At the center of the revelry, perched on a throne of tangled pillows and rumpled silks, sat the guest of honor, Jost. He looked every bit the spoiled prince, half reclined, flanked by 2 exquisite women who giggled at his murmurs and draped themselves across him like sashes. He paused only to drain goblets of wine in long poles or to stuff his mouth with fruit and spiced meats, chewing as he chuckled through half-swallowed words. He indulged in every delight at once, kisses, compliments, wine, and warmth, yet seemed untouched by any of it. Surrounded by beauty and praise, he still looked strangely alone. A loud rumble broke the silence that had consumed her, a roar from her own stomach. Every sense locked onto a platter near her feet, piled high with golden-skinned cutlets that hissed with a sweet, spicy aroma. The scent wrapped around her, flooding her mind, driving her forgotten hunger into a frenzy. She dove forward, seizing 2 warm pieces, their skins blistered and crisped, flecked with fragrant spices. Just as she opened her mouth, trembling with anticipation, the music stopped. The laughter died. The voices and a voice cracking like stone cut through the air, slicing down her spine. "That's not for you, girlie." Jillian froze, caught in a crouch, her hair wild, her eyes wide and furrowed from the day's long march. Slowly she looked up. Jost was staring down at her from his mountain of pillows. A half-eaten drumstick pointed lazily in her direction like a wand. His narrow eyes glinted with amusement, though he wore a smug, indulgent grin. "That food is from the spirit realm," he said, just before sinking his fangs into the meat, stripping it to the bone with a single bite. He tossed the remains aside and drained half a goblet of wine in one long pull, then smacked his lips with theatrical relish. Jillian's stomach growled again, a wounded, pathetic noise. "One bite of that," he went on, "and you'll vanish into the spirit world with the rest of the guests and furniture when the party ends." He stared down at her, holding still just long enough to make sure the warning landed. Jillian remained frozen, breath shallow, her fingers trembling around the stolen food. At last she set the cutlets gently back down on the platter. The moment she let go, the music resumed. Laughter flared. The party whirred back to life as if nothing had happened. Jost turned his attention back to his feast, licking grease from his fingers as another goblet of wine was pressed into his hand. Jillian stood slowly. Her voice was hoarse, brittle with exhaustion and shame. "Aren't you affected?" Though barely a whisper, the elf heard it. He leaned forward, amused, cheeks puffed with half-chewed meat. "I am the lord and master of spirits," he said, spitting a bit of bone onto the floor. "I cannot be whisked away by those I command." He waved the thought away as if it bored him. "Besides," he added lazily, sinking deeper into the pillows and the arms of the women, "I'm half in that realm most of the time anyways." He gave a pleased sigh and turned his face back toward the waiting lips and idle kisses, already forgetting her. Jillian stood there trembling. The smell of roasted meats, honeyed fruits, and fragrant spices clung to her senses, so thick and heady she could almost hear them. Her stomach twisted violently. She swayed slightly, dizzy from the hunger and the weight of humiliation. "What can I eat, then?" Her voice came out in a whispered whine, half plea, half prayer, cast into the din of laughter and feasting. No answer. Only a few glances in her direction, vague, disinterested, or vaguely amused, before returning to their master's pleasure. It was then that she noticed all the servants were women, beautiful, silent, attentive. They tended to Jost like he was the only living thing in the room worth feeding. And Jillian remembered the man from the night before, the one who mocked such decadence, who scoffed at nobles and false gods. And now he sat at the center of it all, drunk on adoration and spirit wine. What do humans eat anyways, he chided quietly, besides fruit and sin? His words stirred something deep within her, some forgotten resolve. The very intention she'd carried like a stone all day. It rose now, overtaking hunger and fatigue alike. The words burst from her, unfiltered and fierce. "Take me on the pilgrimage," she cried, louder than she meant to. "Take me to the gates of Eden." The music faltered, not with silence, but with a clumsy, awkward downbeat that made her words land even harder. A sharp echo of her own voice seemed to slap her in return. All eyes turned. For a breathless moment, the feast held its breath. For a breathless moment, the feast held its breath. It's a little on the nose. I'll get it later, I think. The floating frames drew back like startled animals, and the radiant light dimmed as if recoiling from the weight of her demand. And then, laughter. High, cold, cruel, mocking laughter, unrestrained and merciless. Jost and the guests pointed at her, jeering at her courage as if it were comedy, her foolishness as if it were fact. Jost laughed hardest of all, doubling over, the women at his sides howling with him. At last, worn down by the repeated buckling of his ribs, he settled into a quiet chuckle. He wiped a tear from his eye and said simply, "No." Then laughed again, softer this time, as if to himself. "The pilgrimage," he muttered, spitting the words like a bad taste, then drowning the bitterness in more wine. She stood still for a moment, the laughter ringing in her ears like cruel bells. Her face burned, but she didn't flinch, not this time. Then, with a breath, she stepped forward. Not loud, not shrill, just clear. "You mock me," she said, "but you forget yourself." The guest stirred. Jost raised a brow. "You are a child of the angels," she went on, her voice steadier now, "a high elf, one of the few still bound to the old ways. Leading the pilgrimage to Eden is not a joke. It's your duty, a sacred one. Or have you laughed yourself free of that too?" The room quieted again, but this silence felt different, uneasy, watchful. Jillian kept her gaze fixed on him. "You feast and play at being a ghost, while the world rots. You say you command spirits, but you can't even lead the living." The laughter died abruptly. Jost leaned forward again to stare down at the girl with eyes wide and darkening as he fixed her frozen in his gaze. "I'm not bound, girlie, and my father's a devil. You've mistaken me for something I'm not. Go ask one of those flowery little pantywaists in some major city, eager to play holy for the sake of their fragile egos. I'm done with the pilgrimages and piety. I only slay demons when it suits me." He sat back and stared down as Yoti, the first spirit he'd called after destroying the castle, filled his goblet to the brim with golden liquid. He slammed it down his throat, then jutted the cup out for a refill. The music had ceased. The air turned still. One by one, the carousing spirits vanished. The lights dimmed slightly. Those who remained stared at Jillian in silence, their beautiful faces carved with either disdain or pity, perhaps both. From the edge of defeat, Jillian found her voice again. "Risen." Then, raised by a strange compulsion, pushing her up from her feet. Risen, then raised by a strange compulsion, pushed up from her feet. "How can you look so much like Josirian the Great, and pious sage king of the High Elves, and behave like this? You're no noble elf." Jost rose from his disheveled makeshift throne, which vanished along with the courtesans draped over him. The silver chalice in his grasp trembled, its golden contents spilling over his fingers like tears. "Josirian was my grandfather," he said, voice like ice, "and his piety did not save him. His charity was his undoing. I will not be a slave to virtue like he was." He leered cruelly. "As for noble, there is none worth knowing more than myself. I may carry his curse and his face, but I am no sacrificial lamb. I am the pyre where it burns." He downed the rest of the goblet and held it out for a refill. But the spirits were gone. The lights faded, until only he and the girl remained in the dark and lonely woods. When he dropped the goblet, it vanished like dust on an otherworldly wind. Jost shook, not from anger, not from cold, but from something deeper than bone. "It's late, girlie," he muttered. He turned, walked a short distance, spread his newly mended jacket on the ground, and lay on it in a fetal position, as though to sleep. Jillian, too, felt a great weight settle over her. She sank into slumber on the soil. That's chapter 7, which, according to ChatGPT, is like my pivotal chapter. It's where I'm unmasking Jost and showing he's not the hero. if that wasn't clear before. Chapter 8. You know this isn't my fault, right? The words hit Jillian's ear and rattled around her brain, making it itch. None of this is my fault. It was Jost. Of course it was Jost. Even in her dreams, he'd rambled and mocked her, and now in the early ebb of daylight, his voice rattled her awake. Things would have turned out the same. You would have ended up in that castle either way. Granted, I could have come sooner and cleaned things up immediately, but nothing would really be different. So, I lost the N key on my keyboard, which is fun to say, N key. N key. Lost that last night, so M and N are both missing. So it's not... So I'm typing with nipples. He's going to say so a lot, but it's speech. Speech is not pretty and repetitive. So it's not my fault. Not really. She sat up, blinking in the light. A cold layer of dew clung to her skin and sent a shiver through her frame. As she shook off sleep, she spotted him nearby, crouched low, eyes hollow and distant, like he hadn't slept at all. It all started with the fucked up way this world was formed. Jillian stood and looked at Jost for a moment, then turned away. Relying on a soul that chaotic didn't seem wise. Without a word, she picked a direction and started walking, hoping it was the right one. The woods felt less hostile today, but the gnawing in her stomach grew with every step, each churn of emptiness making her legs feel heavier, her resolve thinner. As she stepped away from the mulling elf, his voice faded into the growing chorus of the forest. A strange mix of freedom and fear surged in her chest. For the first time, she was truly alone, gaining distance from a dangerous element and stepping into uncertainty. For the next hour, she pushed through the brush and tangled roots, following faint wildlife trails with cautious optimism. Then, almost suddenly, she stumbled onto a proper path. Relief washed over her, followed by a quiet swell of pride. Looking down the trail toward the dawn, her heart soared with the thrill of what adventures might await. Perhaps she would reach a major city, find a proper high elf, one sworn to uphold the sacred rites of the pilgrimage. See, in the beginning was God. At the sound of the voice coming from behind, her skeleton tried to leap from her body while her heart sank. It was Jost. Of course it was Jost. And God was good. Some might even say perfect, but he was alone, with no one to appreciate him. Jillian didn't bother turning around. She picked up her pace, bare feet crunching on the path, but the tall elf followed, effortlessly matching her stride as if out for a casual stroll. How do you know God is a she? She snapped over her shoulder. Who says God can't be a woman? The answer came quick and flat, like it was obvious, because God is a boy's name. Now don't interrupt. So God made for himself two sons, crafted from the only stuff he knew at the time, being good and feeling good. And he called them Justice and Pride. With these two hands to extend his reach, he set about making the universe, planet by planet. Justice, the force of right action, did the heavy lifting. Pride, the sense of worth and precision, measured and checked each creation to ensure it was perfect. And for a time, things went well. The cosmos spun in harmony. God was pleased. But eventually, he grew tired of nailing it every time. Perfection dulled him, so he devised a plan. Or maybe just a cruel little experiment. What if he made a world with justice, but without pride? No measure, no mirror, no sense of whether the work was beautiful or broken. Surely that would end his infinite boredom. So he gave the task to Justice alone, the duller of the two, the one without foresight or reflection, driven only by impulse and action. The work was slow and riddled with flaws. To create order, Justice first had to start in disorder. Like a child with blocks, he was just ambling about. There was a long pause. "Shut up!" he suddenly shouted. Jillian flinched, nearly stumbling at the outburst, especially strange since she hadn't said a word. She had only kept walking, following the path she'd chosen while being berated by fairy tales from behind. He went on. Well, Pride was hurt to be left out, you see, so that's when he started getting in the way. Not that he had to do much. Old Justice was all impulse, no thought. To even grasp the concept of life, Justice had to start small, single, simple things. He used them like blocks, stacking and tweaking. When a big one ate a little one and neither died, he figured he was onto something. Joss went on like this for a while, making Jillian's head spin more than the heat and exhaustion combined. The pain radiating up from her feet eventually slowed her to a whimpering limp. But still, the dark shadow of the ignoble high elf loomed behind her, prattling on about cells and microorganisms. He was just reaching the part about how the division of the sexes at the micro level had birthed all conflict, thus inevitably armored fish. When Jillian finally buckled and collapsed along the path, Joss sat beside her in silence as she nursed her aching feet, her breath shallow with fatigue. He stared wistfully into the distance. "Such frailty," he murmured. She glanced down at her battered, dirt-clad feet, swollen and throbbing like they'd grown several sizes too large. Then, noticing his own pale, broad feet resting bare in the dust, she asked softly, "Why don't you wear boots? Or why go barefoot?" "Dissipates the evil," he said with a dry sniff. "Poorly designed things, really. Did I mention we all come from fish? Same nervous system and these stupid land paddles." He wiggled his toes and made a critical face, as if personally offended by their design. "I can see why people want to cover them, but you know, evil." He jutted a thumb toward himself, and Jillian thought she caught a flicker of sadness pass over his face. Before she could feel sorry for him, he reverted to his childish, maddening self. "So are you healed yet?" he asked impatiently. When she just stared at him in disbelief, he added, "Oh, right. Human." He sighed, long, theatrical, and full of resignation. "Fine. I guess you have a point." In one smooth motion, he spun into a crouch before her, looming like a beast about to pounce. Then he placed a palm over her feet. Jillian nearly jumped up from the sudden spark of a familiar fireball forming there. "Relax, girlie," he growled. "It only burns evil." A soft warmth spread from her feet, and with it all the soreness, exhaustion, and ache drained away. She was left not merely rested, but restored, revived to a level of health she didn't even remember having. Every ache was gone, except the hunger, which roared back with a vengeance. Joss prattled on through the rest of the day, his endless musings on the stages of evolution, both body and mind, lasting until sunset. All the while, he blamed Justice for what he called repeated extinction events. His voice a relentless marching drum driving forward with some unknown destination. Mojo. As the sun sank, every mile and her mind weight of every word. Hi. Mojo. Cool it, dude. Definitely my most annoying pet. It's gonna be sad if I have to give him back to the rabbit rescue. It's gonna be really, really sad if that's what I have to do. That's one of the things I'm afraid of. Stop doing bold. I fucking hate it when you do bold. Oh, I gotta go kill a bunny. Fuck this dude. Mojo! Knock it off, dude. You're annoying as hell. Yeah, get out of there. Alright, give him a hay stick. That'll keep him amused. He's destroying his own cardboard, but... Lou, please stop itching. Yeah, I know. I gotta get you to the vet. I was really looking forward to having a car so I could drive you there myself. So I haven't asked Mama to help me. I gotta get a car. I gotta get a job. I gotta establish income and revenue. Alright. Okay. That in. That's right. I'm gonna tell one of my favorite stories. Check my notes. Yeah, how it does this shit. Hate this crap. Why does it do this? Into these bars. I don't want these. I hate these. So close that. No, I don't want to say that. Just doodle. I really gotta get back into doing art too. Really gotta get back into art. Like, I gotta make a cover. Like, I described a scene to my wife. She's like, "Where's the painting of that? You're supposed to be an artist, Jack." Yeah, I used to be. Until I went to fucking college, and all my artistic shit just sucked after that because the nervousness, the fear, like everything has to be worth $100 grand. Everything has to be enough to pay off my student loans. And it just took the love and the fun that I had out of it entirely. Made my hand shake, made me sick, made me miserable, made me think of all the crap that I went through in college that I didn't need to. But I gotta let that go. I gotta let all that go and just live now. That's what I'm working on. So, yep. Let's see. Uh, I gotta do a quick search. I admit I do not know Milton as well as I think I would like to. Oh, wait, yeah, no, there's that. Let's see. Let's ask Google. In Paradise Lost, where does the fall of Lucifer, yeah. In Paradise Lost, where does the fall of Lucifer occur in relation to the creation of Earth? Oops. The charts. Paradise Lost. Okay, so this isn't going to give me a timeline or anything like that. really makes you aware of how many N's you use and fucking keys missing. N and M, yeah. But this is a Windows 10 computer, and Windows 10 is no longer going to be serviced in October, so I should really be on Windows 11, which apparently I need a new PC for anyways. Feels like I go through these things way too fast. But they keep on getting cheaper, so there's that. Defiance, yeah, it's a decent section. Let's see if ChatGPT can clean this up for me. Oh, that's right. Boom. And it's not bad. Control C, Control V. Boom. So first he warned her about the food, now he's tempting her with the food. Fucking goddamn. This is a strong character-revealing passage with the power of dynamic between Jost and Jillian coming through well to strengthen the rhythm, tension, and emotional clarity. Is a refined version that sharpens the language without losing your tone. Yeah, I need to clean that up. I knew that was sloppy. That's what I use ChatGPT for mostly. It's just like editor and line breaks and stuff. The raging swoon of hunger that made her world spin. She tried to stand. She only managed a few crawling paces before collapsing, her body echoing with empty ache. Jost, already chewing on something, watched her with detached interest. What's wrong? He asked, more annoyed than concerned. The sight of the small, cake-like morsel in his hand made her spirit lurch forward to seize it, though her body stayed slumped and useless. Oh, this? He held it up just out of reach. This one's mine. He took another bite and chewed slowly. I do have another. From his other pocket, he produced a second, identical cake, untouched, perfect. Jillian stretched out her arm, desperate. But I'm saving it. he said, slipping it back into his pocket and rising to amble down the path. I could share, of course, but then he glanced back with an impish glee. You'd become my servant, my slave, whisked away to a magical castle with a harem of spirits. No aging, no worries, no pilgrimage, but it would get you closer to Eden. You would just never be able to leave. Jillian felt mocked. Her stomach growled so loudly it forced the words from her mouth. You must be lying to torture me. You enjoy watching me suffer? A bit, he said lightly, but you hurt my feelings when you said I wasn't noble, so there. He tapped his belt buckle, as if that somehow made his claim credible. Besides, I can't lie. He turned, came back, and crouched in front of her, waving his half-eaten cake just inches from her face. So what do you say? He whispered. One bite, and the hunger ends. One bite, and the whole troubling world vanishes. You'll be my servant, yes, but it's the best life you've ever known. You'll never leave, but you'll never suffer again. Worth it? He paused. Or will you keep stumbling after your silly little venture? Jillian stood, shaking, starving, but upright. Her hunger trembled through her bones, but still she faced him, defiant. Boom. Yeah. Mojo, knock it off. Hey Mo. Hi dude. Chewing on stuff and then just staring at me like I'm supposed to get the hint, huh? Yeah, I gotta change some stuff down here for you. What time is it? Ooh, 6:47. How long have I been doing this? Over an hour. Good for me. God, my internet is just slow as hell right now. I gotta find a job. I gotta find a new place. This next month I'm supposed to find a new place. It just doesn't seem realistic. Oh, nope. Control C. Control V. And then the stem of plant. And I'm on to page 40. Oh, dear God. He says so a lot, but so is okay as long as you keep it in dialogue. If you're putting it in, like, I can't say so, he can. Unless it's, like, poetic or some shit. But yeah, that's the beauty of putting everything into dialogue, is it ain't gotta be perfect. I could use another cup of coffee. What day is it today? Saturday. Sabbath. Sabado. God's Day. Ooh, pardon me. Jeez. Buying some crypto real quick. Should take a dip. Pretty annoyed. I was gonna buy a car, so I took a bunch of my money out of my crypto and shit like that, and might have negatively impacted my earnings for the week. I don't know if it helped me or not. Doubtful. Hmm. All right, my coffee and get ready for the next section. This was a bit of a surprise, but I had to address her hunger and the fact that Jost, this version of Jost, is really reluctant to help people at all. He doesn't want to do any good, doesn't want to manipulate, doesn't want to lead or rule. He just wants to have his own fun, which is a problem. I used to take pride in hiding my light. There was a point where I was so angry at the world, I was proud to withhold my gifts and my talents from it. That sounds incredibly egotistical to say, but so mad at the world, I felt like it didn't deserved what I had to offer. And in doing so, I kept it from the people closest to me who did deserve what I had to offer. That's pathetic and spiteful and hateful and cruel. So it's good that I'm getting that asshole out on a page so I can mock him, and the rest of the world can too. That's a great way to do a power fantasy. I'll be back. I need coffee and get another round. Yeah, meow. Little mouser. Am I good for the day? I'm good for now. I'm just going to be looking at my phone. Oh. Should figure out breakfast. Yeah, I think 7. 7 is a good time to quit for now. I'll probably do more, but I probably won't stream it. Oh, have I been getting comments? I don't even know. I didn't even bother looking up any of the social shit. I just do it because the thought of being watched makes me a little paranoid. So I tend to work more. Anything? Yeah. Cheap viewers, hi. How many chapters will you write? The video's lagging. Sorry, dude. Just eat the cake. Nice. Appreciate the comments, guys. Sorry about that. No, 12 to go. I'm down to 38. I thought I was at 40. Oh well. Maybe that's just over this phase. And I don't know how many chapters I'm going to be writing. I got no fucking clue how long this is going to go for. I hope it's not too many, but I'm on 9. It could end up being 30 for all I know. I know I've got one more like this where they're just walking. That's going to be 3 chapters for like 3 days. And then, yeah, I got a whole nother adventure planned with a village of doom scrollers. So, it's going to end it for now. I got to get some breakfast. I don't know why, but these last couple sections have been making me hungry. So, peace out. I'll be back late tomorrow.